Everyone is telling you the same thing tonight. Soak your feet in a cheap solution, and the fungus on your toenail will disappear. Some videos promise it happens fast. $2, one basin, gone. I want to be honest with you from the very first minute. That promise is half true and half wrong. And the half that is wrong is the half that keeps your nail thick and yellow for another 2 years. I am not here to tell you the soak is a scam. It is not. There are real reasons it became popular, and there is real science behind some of the ingredients people use. But there is one thing almost no one explains to you. And once you understand it, you will stop wasting month after month on the wrong version of a good idea. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you will know exactly what a foot soak can do, what it cannot do, and the one single change that decides whether your nail clears or never does. I know what it is like to look down at that nail. Thick, cloudy, a little yellow at the edge. You have tried a few things. Maybe nothing worked. Maybe it looked a little better and then went right back. You are not lazy, and you are not doing it wrong. You have just been given half of the story. Tonight, I want to give you the whole thing. Let us start with what people are actually claiming, because I do not want to be unfair to it. The claim goes like this. You mix warm water with vinegar. Maybe you add a few drops of tea tree oil. Maybe you rub in a mentholated chest ointment at night. You do this every single day, and the fungus lifts away. The nail goes clear, and it costs you almost nothing. Here is the part I will defend for you. That idea is not stupid. It did not come out of nowhere. People try it, and some of them do see real change. Their nail looks a little cleaner. The debris under it loosens. The smell fades. So they tell a friend. The friend tells two more. And now, it is everywhere you look. You may have tried it yourself. You may have felt that early flicker of hope in the first 2 weeks. I do not want to take that away from you. I want to explain it to you, so it makes sense. And I want to say one honest thing before we go further. There is a whole industry built around your fungal nail. Creams, lacquers, gadgets, subscription boxes. Some of it works. A lot of it is selling you the surface of the problem. The soak became popular partly because people were tired of paying for things that did not deliver. That instinct was right. The execution was just incomplete. Because there truly is evidence behind some of these ingredients. Let me show you the real numbers so you know I am not waving my hands. Take the mentholated chest ointment so many people swear by. In the year 2011, a small study published in the Journal of the American Board of Family Medicine put it to the test. 18 people applied it to a fungal toenail every day for 48 weeks. By the end, just under 28% of them had a full clinical cure, and a little over 55% saw partial improvement. That is a real result. It is not magic, but it is not nothing either. Tea tree oil has a similar story. It comes from an Australian tree, and it carries genuine antifungal and antiseptic properties. Some small clinical studies suggest it may help against nail fungus when it is painted directly onto the nail. Not a cure, but a real, measurable effect in some people. And vinegar. Vinegar is acidic. Fungi tend to prefer a surface that is less acidic. So soaking a nail in diluted vinegar does change the environment on that surface, at least for a little while. That is a real, measurable thing. For a short window after the soak, the surface of the nail is a less friendly place for the fungus to grow. There are others too. You have probably heard people swear by an amber mouthwash, the kind with thymol and eucalyptus in it. Those same compounds show antifungal activity in the lab. You have heard about a plant extract called snake root from the sunflower family, which has shown real promise in reviews as an antifungal for the nail. None of these are fairy tales. They are folk versions of the same idea that the pharmaceutical companies chase with millions of dollars. Find a compound that kills the fungus. That part, the finding of a compound that works, is not where the home remedy fails you. So here is the pattern I want you to notice. Every one of these remedies has a kernel of truth. Thymol works, tea tree works, acid works. And yet, ask around, and you will find far more people who tried them and quit than people who cleared their nail. Why? If the ingredients work, why do so many people give up in disappointment after 2 months in a basin? That question is the whole video. Hold it in your mind. So here is where you and I stand right now. The ingredients are real, the antifungal activity is real, the people who saw a little improvement were not imagining it. I want you to hold on to that, because I am about to turn the whole thing over. Here is one myth I want to clear away first. The myth is that if a remedy is natural and cheap, it must be weak, and if it comes from a pharmacy, it must be strong. The reality is stranger than that. As you will see in a moment, the expensive prescription version runs into the exact same wall as the $2 soak. The problem was never the strength of the ingredient. The problem is somewhere else entirely. Here is the fact almost no one tells you. Read it slowly. The fungus is not sitting on top of your nail. It is living inside it and underneath it. The medical name for this is onychomycosis. That is simply the term for a fungal infection of the nail. And the fungus digs down into the keratin, which is the hard protein your nail is made of. It sets up home in the nail bed, the living skin under the plate, and it spreads up through the layers of the plate itself, where nothing on the surface can easily reach it. Now think with me about what a soak actually does. It touches the surface for a few minutes. Then you dry your foot, and the water evaporates. Whatever was in that basin never reached the place where the fungus actually lives. It knocked on the door. It never got inside. This is not my personal opinion. This is the central problem in the entire field of treating nail fungus. Doctors have known for years that topical treatments alone usually cannot cure it, because they cannot get through the nail plate in high enough amounts to reach the infection buried underneath. And I do not want you to think this only applies to home remedies. Listen to this next part closely, because it is the number that reframes everything you thought you knew. The prescription strength lacquers, the medical ones a doctor paints on, struggle against the exact same wall. The leading prescription nail solutions report complete cure rates of only around 6 to 26%, depending on which product you look at. One of the strongest, called efinaconazole, clears the fungus in the lab in about half of patients, but it produces a truly clean, normal-looking nail in only about 17% of them. And here is the part that should stop you cold. Even after a full 48 weeks of daily use, more than half of treated patients still had visible signs of infection in the nail. Sit with that for a moment. A pharmaceutical designed by scientists, tested in trials, applied every single day for almost one whole year, and it still leaves most nails looking infected. So let me ask you the honest question. If a purpose-built prescription can barely get through the nail plate, what do you really think a few minutes in a basin of vinegar is doing? It is cleaning the surface. That is the improvement people see. The nail looks a little better because the debris softened and washed off. But the fungus below the surface, in the bed, in the deep layers of the plate, mostly untouched, still there, still growing. That is the inversion. The remedy was never wrong because the ingredients were fake. The remedy was wrong because a soak cannot deliver anything to the one place that matters. And I want to press on this one more time, because it is that important. Your nail plate is one of the densest, most stubborn barriers your body makes. It is built to protect the sensitive tissue underneath from the world. That is its job. It does that job whether you want it to or not. So the very thing that makes your nail useful, its hard, tight, layered structure, is the same thing that keeps your treatment out. You are trying to push medicine through a wall that evolution spent a very long time making impossible to push through. That is also why this infection comes back so often, even after it looks beaten. Recurrence is common. You clear the visible part, you feel proud, you stop the routine, and a few months later, the yellow is creeping back at the edge, because the fungus was never fully gone. It was hiding in a layer you could not reach, waiting for you to relax. So when I talk about a routine tonight, I am not talking about 2 weeks of effort. I am talking about a habit you keep long enough to see a whole new nail replace the old one, and then a little longer so the ground stays unfriendly and it does not simply move back in. None of this means you are powerless. It means you have been aiming at the wrong target with the right weapon. Now, let me show you where to aim. If that one fact just changed how you see your own nail, then you already understand why this channel exists. Subscribe and I will keep giving you the part your last appointment never had the time to give you. Now let me show you the real mechanism, because once you can see it in your mind, the correct approach becomes obvious. It stops being a mystery. Picture a hardwood floor. Beautiful, sealed, finished on top. Now imagine someone spills dark red wine, and it soaks down past the finish, into the grain of the wood itself. You can mop that floor every single day for a month. You can scrub the surface until your arm aches. The surface will look clean and wet each time. But the stain? The stain is below the finish. It is in the wood. Your mop never touches it. Not once. You could mop for a year, and the color would still be there, deep in the grain, waiting. There are only two honest ways to deal with a stain that deep. You sand the old wood away and let fresh, clean wood come up to take its place. Or you accept that it will only fade as the wood is slowly worn down and replaced over time. Your nail is the wood. The fungus is the stain in the grain. And here is the part that matters most of all. So listen, your nail cannot be unstained. It has to be outgrown. A toenail grows slowly, very slowly. From the base near your cuticle all the way to the tip, a full toenail takes roughly 12 to 18 months to completely replace itself. That is the real timeline. Not 2 weeks, not 1 month, a year, sometimes longer than a year. So, the clear nail you are hoping for is not the old nail getting better. It is a brand new nail, growing out from the base, clean, if the fungus has been held back long enough to let the new growth come in without being infected on its way up. This is why the people who did clear it with a home remedy often say the same strange thing. They say the fungus grew out, not dissolved, grew out. That word is the whole secret. Even when a home remedy helps, it helps by slowing the fungus down while the new nail slowly pushes forward. The same way sanding does not erase a stain, it just reveals the fresh wood underneath. Nobody dissolves a nail stain in an evening. Your body replaces it, one slow millimeter at a time. And your job is not to attack the old nail. Your job is to protect the new one on its way up. Let me give you one more picture, because I want this to stick. Think of a slow-moving river carrying the nail forward. The fungus is like weeds growing in the water. You cannot reach in and rip out every weed at once. But if you change the water, keep it moving, keep it clean. The new stretch of river that comes downstream comes clean. That is what a good routine does. It is not a rescue. It is a slow, patient handover from old to new. And here is something you feel more with each passing decade. Your body's ability to do that slow replacement work depends on good circulation to the feet, and circulation to the feet tends to weaken over the years. That is one real reason a nail at 70 heals slower than a nail at 40. That whole subject, helping your body move blood and fluid the way it used to on its own, is exactly what I walk you through in my guide, the drainage protocol. The link is in the description if you want it. Now, let us get back to your feet. So let us fix the approach together. I am not going to throw the soak away. I am going to show you how to use it correctly, as one small part of something that actually works. There are 4 ideas here. I will take them one at a time, slowly. First, thin the nail before you treat it. This is the step almost everyone skips, and it is quietly the most important one of all. If the nail is thick and cloudy, gently file down the top surface with a simple emery board once or twice a week. You are not trying to hurt yourself. You are sanding the floor. A thinner nail lets whatever you apply get closer to the fungus underneath. Without this one step, you are back to mopping a sealed floor. With it, you finally give the treatment a fighting chance to reach the grain. And do this too. Keep the nail cut short and straight across, and gently clear out the crumbly debris that collects underneath the front edge. That debris is not just ugly. It is a little warehouse of fungus, packed in where nothing reaches it. A soak can actually help you here, and this is the one job a soak is genuinely good at. 10 minutes in warm water softens the nail and that debris, so you can trim and clean more easily right afterward. See what I did there? The soak is not useless. It is just a preparation step, not the treatment itself. Use it for what it is good at, and stop asking it to do the thing it cannot do. Second, choose one treatment and apply it every single day. Consistency beats strength here, and I mean that. A modest antifungal used faithfully every day for months will do far more than a strong one used twice and then forgotten in a drawer. Whether that is an over-the-counter antifungal, tea tree oil painted on with a cotton swab twice a day, or the mentholated ointment rubbed in each night, pick one and commit to it. Remember, the trials that showed results ran for 48 weeks, not 4. You need the same patience the nail needs. If you switch products every 2 weeks looking for a faster one, you never give any of them the time they need. Third, keep the foot dry. This is the one that quietly decides everything, and it is the one people ignore. Fungus needs moisture to live and to spread. So the soak, ironically, becomes the weakest link if you do not dry completely afterward. After any soak, after any shower, dry between every single toe. Change your socks every day. Rotate your shoes so each pair gets a full day to dry out between wearings. And here is a step people forget entirely. Treat the inside of your shoes too, with an antifungal powder or spray. Because you can clear the nail and then reinfect it the very next morning from the inside of your own shoe. You would be fighting a battle and rearming the enemy each night. Think about where your feet spend their day. Warm, closed in, a little damp. That is a greenhouse, and the fungus is the weed that loves it. Choose socks that pull moisture away rather than trap it. Give your feet open air in the evening when you can. If your feet sweat a lot, an antifungal foot powder in the morning is a small habit that pays you back. None of this is dramatic. But this is the ground the whole battle is fought on. You can do everything else right, and a damp shoe every day will quietly undo it. Win the dryness, and you have won the part that most people lose, without ever knowing they lost it. And one more thing that surprises people. The fungus on your toenail very often lives on the skin of your foot too, as athlete's foot, that itchy scaling between the toes. If you treat the nail but ignore the skin reseeds the nail. So treat both at the same time. Clear the whole neighborhood, not just the one house. Fourth, know when the home approach is worth it, and know when it is not. Home methods have their best chance on a mild, early infection. One nail, a small patch near the tip. Caught early. If the fungus covers most of the nail, or several nails at once, or the nail is badly thickened and crumbling, then topical anything, even prescription, has a very hard time reaching it. That is when an oral medication from a doctor becomes worth a real conversation. Oral terbinafine, the leading pill for this, clears the infection in roughly 38 to 76% of cases, which is far better than any surface treatment. But it needs a doctor's supervision because it can affect the liver, and that is not something to guess about on your own. Here's how I would think about it if it were my own foot. If the infection is small and new and it has not reached the base of the nail near the cuticle, the home routine is a reasonable first try. Give it a fair chance, which means several months, not several days. But if the fungus has already reached the base, where the new nail is made, then a surface treatment is trying to protect ground the fungus already controls. That is the situation where a topical, home, or prescription tends to lose, and where a pill that reaches the nail through your bloodstream from the inside has a real advantage. There is no shame in reaching for the stronger tool. The goal is a clean nail, not a badge for doing it the hard way. And one thing I want to be honest about, even the pill is not a guarantee. Even at its best, it does not clear everyone. So whatever you choose, the same 3 habits underneath still decide your outcome. Thin the nail. Stay consistent. Keep the foot dry. Those do not change no matter which treatment sits on top of them. Notice that I am not promising you anything overnight. I am giving you a realistic path. Because a realistic path that actually works will always beat a magic path that does not. I would rather tell you the truth and have you clear it in a year than sell you a miracle and watch you still fighting it in 3. Now the most important part of this entire video. Please do not skip these next 2 minutes. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Everything I have told you so far assumes one thing. It assumes that what you are looking at is actually fungus. Sometimes it is not. And in a few cases, treating it like fungus is genuinely dangerous because you are soaking a problem that needs a doctor this week, not a basin. Here's the sign that means stop and go get seen. A single dark brown or black streak running the length of the nail from the base toward the tip that does not grow out and does not fade, especially if it is slowly getting wider. Especially if that dark color bleeds out into the skin around the nail, into the cuticle or the side fold. Doctors call that spread into the surrounding skin the Hutchinson sign, and it is a strong warning that needs to be evaluated right away. Why does this matter so much? Because that pattern can be a subungual melanoma. That is a melanoma, a serious skin cancer growing underneath the nail. It is rare, fewer than 3 in every 100 melanomas, but it is very often mistaken for a bruise or a fungus, and that mistake delays the diagnosis, which is the one thing you cannot afford with a melanoma. And here is the critical detail. It does not respond to antifungal treatment. So a fungus that never ever improves no matter what you throw at it is itself a reason to be checked. You cannot soak away a melanoma. No one can. If you see that streak, you do not experiment on it at home. You see a clinician. Let me help you tell the difference gently, because I do not want you to panic at every mark. A bruise under the nail, from stubbing your toe or a tight shoe, is usually more of a rounded purple or black patch, and it slowly moves toward the tip and grows out over a few weeks. Fungus tends to be yellow or brown. It thickens the nail, it makes it crumbly, and it often touches more than one nail. The melanoma pattern is different again. It is a dark band that runs the length of the nail. It tends to stay in place rather than grow out. It can widen over time, and above all, it can spread into the skin at the edge. If a mark is growing out with the nail, that is reassuring. If a dark band is sitting still and getting wider, that is the one to have looked at. When in doubt, do not soak it in hope. Ask. Let me give you 2 more situations where you skip the home approach entirely and talk to a doctor first. The first is if you have diabetes. People with diabetes are about twice as likely to develop toenail fungus, and reduced feeling in the feet, which is common with diabetes, means a small problem can quietly grow into a serious one before you even feel it. With diabetes, foot infections are not something to manage in a basin at the kitchen table. Get your feet looked at by someone who can examine them properly. The second is if you see spreading redness, swelling, warmth, or real pain, or the skin around the nail starts to weep or ooze. That is not a slow, patient fungus. That can be a bacterial infection, and a bacterial infection moves fast. That needs a clinician now, not a soak tonight and a wait and see tomorrow. And here is one simple rule that covers all of it. If you are already taking medication for anything at all, do not start, stop, or combine treatments without asking first. Talk to the person who prescribes for you, especially with the oral pills. Your liver, your other medications, your whole picture matters, and only someone who can see all of it should be making that call with you. I am telling you all of this not to frighten you. Most fungal nails are exactly what they look like, and they are harmless, just stubborn. I am telling you because the whole point of tonight was to replace a half-truth with the full one. And the full truth includes knowing the few times when the rule flips. Before I close, I want to ask you something, and I do read the answers. What decade are you in right now? Your 50s? Your 60s? Your 70s? Your 80s? Tell me in the comments below. It genuinely changes which part of this matters most for you. Because circulation to the feet and how fast a nail grows out both shift with each decade. Knowing who is actually watching helps me write the next one for you, and not for some average person who does not exist. So let me leave you with the honest version of the promise that brought you here. The $2 soak is not a lie, but it is not the whole truth either. On its own, it wets the surface of a problem that lives underneath it. The improvement people see is real. It is just the surface, not the cure. The real work is slower and simpler than any viral trick. Thin the nail, treat it every day, keep the foot dry, and give it a year to grow out clean, one slow millimeter at a time. And all the while, watch for that one dark streak. That would mean this was never fungus at all. You do not need to dissolve anything. You need to outgrow it, and that is not a disappointment. That is the part that actually works, the part that lasts, the part no one selling you a miracle wants to say out loud. Take care of your feet. Be patient with them. They have carried you a long way. I will see you in the next one.